Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm KRISTINA DRAGOVICH. Topping news tonight, the Frank Smith bribery and extortion trial hit another snag today, resulting in yet another delay in testimony. This comes after the defense revealed it still has not received some key documents, despite there being an order by the Supreme Court. Jasmine Brown was in court and filed this report.
The matter, which resumed in the magistrate's court, did not get very far after the defense and prosecution asked for a brief adjournment to discuss recently obtained documents pertaining to the case. Once court resumed more than an hour later, Smith's attorney Damien Gomez QC informed the Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt that the defense had still not received some documents despite a court order. Last month, Supreme Court Justice Gregory Hilton ordered 6 government agencies to turn over any and all documents pertaining to Crown witness Barbara Hanna to counsel involved in former PLP Senator Frank Smith's bribery and extortion trial by May 7th. In a court order dated April 23rd, Justice Hilton ordered the various entities to serve both the Crown and Smith's legal team with documents concerning Hannah's financial affairs in her personal name or any trade name or business name, including but not limited to her company Magic Touch. In response to Gomez, lead prosecutor Edward Jenkins QC told the court that the prosecution will impress upon the agencies that both the defense and prosecution need the documents forthwith. Smith is on trial on charges that he demanded and received monthly payments of $5,000 from cleaning company owner Hannah from April 1, 2016 to April 2017 after he helped her land a $516,000 annual contract to clean the critical care block of Princess Margaret Hospital. The case that was slated to conclude last December has dragged on for months, with several extended delays. In late February, the Chief Magistrate denied what she called premature calls for her to dismiss the case against the former Public Hospitals Authority chairman. Queen's Counsel Keith Knight, the lead defense lawyer, alleged prosecutorial misconduct as the Crown produced a supplemental statement from the investigator, Superintendent Yule Johnson. Today, Knight revealed to the court that he was not feeling well and had visited 2 doctors for blood pressure issues. However, Knight insisted that he did not want his health to delay the case, as they had lost too much time already. When Ferguson Pratt questioned Knight's ability to continue with Monday's proceedings considering his health issues, the Jamaican QC insisted he felt he could take on Muhammad Ali. The matter is now set to resume on Tuesday morning. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, a dramatic video making the rounds on social media captures the moment a gunman walked into a Cordo Avenue bar and opened fire, hitting one of the establishment's patrons. According to police reports, shortly after 10 last night, a man armed with a firearm entered the bar and fired several shots in the direction of customers, injuring one man before running away. The 30-second video shows customers ducking for cover and bolting for the exit as the man starts shooting. The victim was transported to hospital, where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries and discharged. Police investigations are ongoing. Well, there were dramatic scenes outside the magistrate's court as a man and woman faced charges in relation to a May 11th murder. Jared Higgs tells us more.
20-year-old Charlton Pierre, shown here in the red shirt, and 23-year-old Angelica Roop, pictured in the grey, appeared before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, facing charges in relation to the recent killing of 16-year-old Stephen Bowleg, who was stabbed to death in an altercation just days ago. Bowleg's death came 1 year after his mother was stabbed to death in her Peter Street home. Pierre, of Farrington Road, is charged with murder, with the prosecution alleging that he intentionally and unlawfully caused the death of Bowleg. Roop, a resident of Nassau Village, faces a charge of accessory to murder after the fact. It is alleged that Roop assisted Pierre, knowing that he was party to an offence, enabling him to avoid due process of law. As the suspects were brought before the courts, there was a clash of family members as a minor attempted to run up and hug Roop. Police had to separate the factions and ultimately restricted their entry into the precincts of the court. On the inside, the 20-year-old Pierre claimed that there was a hit on him at the prison, stating that he was told that there were people waiting for him. Prosecutor Barrington Miller questioned the validity of Pierre's claims, asserting that the accused had only been in custody since Saturday, and it was strange that he had already received word that his life was in danger. Ferguson Pratt ordered the matter be brought to the attention of the Commissioner of Corrections. Pierre addressed the court further, saying he never saw the young man before, he didn't mean to do what he did, and he's sorry. At that point, Ferguson Pratt advised him that he was before the court, not yet on trial, and not to say anything else. The second accused person, Roop, was also emotional as she was read her charges, ultimately telling the court that she didn't know what she was getting herself into. Now, neither Roop nor Charlton were represented by an attorney. They were both remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. They returned to court in July for service of voluntary bill of indictment paperwork. Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
And 34-year-old Patrick Goff, also known as Gino Sands Albury, was charged with murder stemming from the December 2016 killing of Daniel Belzale here in New Providence. His matter was adjourned until July 26th, and he was remanded to the Bahamas Department of Corrections. Before adjourning, however, prosecutor Barrington Miller informed the court that they believed that Goff was also known as Gino Sands Albury and that there was a warrant out for his arrest. Upon further probing, Goff admitted to Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt that he was also known as Gino Sands Albury and that he pleaded guilty to a drug charge over in Exuma under that name. Ferguson Pratt indicated that she would sentence Goff on the drug charges when he returns in July once he accepts the facts of the case are presented by the prosecution. Governments will soon have to report on the financial status of the country and any extra spending prior to a general election. It's just one part of the Minnis administration's draft Fiscal Responsibility Bill 2018 released to the public this morning at the Ministry of Finance. Kyle WALKINE has that.
As much as possible, that we do not have extraordinary spending for the pure purpose of gaining political advantage.
The pre-election economic and fiscal update, according to the Minister of Finance, will give Bahamians a new tool for oversight of pre-election government spending. In that report, government will have to lay out its revenue overturn and forecast for the current and next 3 years, report on the approval of new spending since the annual budget, and report on any other significant financing matters that have occurred or are planned. But Turnquest says this is still not a part of the campaign finance reform government promised on the campaign trail.
This is an attempt to ensure that we do not have the abuse of the public purse at the for the benefit of a political party that may happen to be in government at the time. We want to ensure that we do not have the kind of ramp up in spending that we saw in the last election.
The bill has several other vital parts that will impact the way governments spend money and establish caps on debt levels. The legislation also calls for the appointment of an independent 5-member Fiscal Responsibility Council. The members will be appointed by the Governor General and one person each nominated by the Bahamas Bar Association, the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, University of the Bahamas, the Bahamas Institute of Chartered Accountants, and the Certified Financial Analyst Society of the Bahamas.
There's also an element here that gives the Public Accounts Committee an opportunity to call for people where the council may report an outlier. They can use that information to initiate their own inquiries. That will also encourage a certain amount of accountability and discipline.
Turnquest says he expects the bill to be passed after the annual budget debate next month, adding the upcoming budget reflects several of the guidelines laid out in the bill. He said there are 3 main objectives.
Lower the deficit and maintain a sustainable fiscal balance. 2, lower debt to sustainable long-term levels. 3, maintain current expenditure growth in line with growth in nominal GDP.
Turnquest said once the bill is passed and becomes law, the government would be required to reduce its debt-to-GDP ratio to a maximum of 50% of GDP over time. It currently stands at 58%.
It means the government has to live within its means. We can no longer continue to put the country's bill on a virtual credit card and continue to have expenditures outpace the revenue on a consistent basis.
The draft is available on the Ministry of Finance's Facebook page as well as government's website, bahamas.gov.bs. Turnquest said government is open for consultation from the private sector on this bill. Again, Turnquest says it will have a big impact on the way governments spend money, establishing caps on debt levels and mandating a new level of accountability. Reporting from the Office of the Prime Minister of Our News, I'm Kyle WALKINE.
Still to come, government spends millions on new tugboats. That's coming up when Our News returns.